Hey guys, it's Monet with Tick Life, and today I am filming a planning video. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know I recently posted a picture of my classroom vision that I drew on a regular sheet of paper in a spiral notebook. And it did raise a few questions, so I want to address some of those questions in this video. Go ahead if you have not already and press that subscribe button to help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. I know we can do it. I'm at 700 and something already, so we're not too far away. And if you are new to my channel, hi, welcome, thank you for joining. And for those that have been with me since 2016, how you doing? So I'm really excited to talk about planning. I feel like I am somebody that plans a lot, and I think it's because I know that when you plan, you just have more control of what's going on content wise in your classroom. And so if you don't plan, I want to suggest that you start in some area, whether that be just your weekly lesson plans or your small group plans or your mini lesson plan, whatever you all want to call it. But I think it just helps to lay down the path. Now if you want to skip down that path or run down that path, that's up to you, but at least you have a path in place. And I think kids, they can recognize that, and it does benefit classroom management. So let's get inside of that classroom vision drawing. So I'm gonna put it up so you guys can see it. And like I said in the photo, I am not Picasso or Claude Monet, but what I like to do is lay out my room. So if you look, I have certain things on the outer perimeter, so like, yeah, it's hard for me to see, but you know, I have my closets identified, I have my library shelves identified. I figured out what type of flexible seating I was going to be using, and then I also put some numbers because I want to make sure that what I'm creating, I have enough space for actual students. Now I do want to say this because somebody did ask, wow, you know, is your room really this spacious? Yes and no. So things are a little bit closer, but I have a pretty good idea of the space. So I know all of these things will fit within. I know we're not going to be cramped. And then something else that I do to help me create that space in my classroom, I do not have a teacher desk. So that gives me a lot of space, okay? And then also, because I don't technically have like a teacher desk, I really don't have like a teacher area. So the whole classroom really just belongs to me and my students. However, I do have like little designated areas where I keep my markers or I keep my folders, and students know that. And they generally don't go in the area unless I give them permission, but for the most part, I like to push everything outward so that we literally have all of the goodness of the inside portion to work with. And so something else that I think helps to create space in the classroom is flexible seating, because you do have that element where some things are round, some things are square, some things are high, some things are low. And so because I know how that is going to work, and I'm sorry if I'm using my hands a lot, but because I know how my furniture is going to lay out, I know how I can put things around it to again give me and the students more space, to create more pathways. Something that I thought was funny, somebody actually was looking at these pictures because somebody was like, oh, you have like islands. I do, and I do call them islands as well, because I recognize that all students do not like to sit in a group environment, and I don't think I should force them to, because eventually what they'll do is, if they really want to be in a group, they'll eventually work their ways inside. You don't have to force that on them. So I do like to give that option of, hey, you can sit over here by yourself and work by yourself, or you can work with your group over in this area. Something that I had to also think about when I did this was, what do I already have? And that's really why I like to do this, because this helps me know, okay, before I go to Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Ross, Goodwill, wherever to pick up furniture or supplies, what do I already have? So I live with my parents and I'm saving to buy a house, and I'm saving to buy furniture for that house. So in my storage unit is a whole house. So I am using my dinette table from my storage unit, my dining table from my storage unit. The only thing that I have to purchase are those end tables, which you see down here where it says area. So this is where I will be doing my mini lessons a lot, because it's like the central location of the room, and I already have a rug picked out on Amazon. But these are end tables from IKEA. They're $7.99, so $8. What I plan to do is have those here, and then I use patio cushions as their seats. I did that last year, so I don't own those, but I know how much they cost. I know where to find them. Over here is a coffee table. I used this coffee table last year, so if you look at my classroom setup video for last school year, you'll see that white coffee table, so this isn't anything new. I do have a black futon that I will be using in my library area. I will also have to get a bookcase, the long one, the 2x8 or the 2x4 or whatever you want to call it. I will be getting one of those from IKEA. So again, it just lets me know what I need to shop for, what I need to save, or how much am I going to be spending. My dinette comes with stools, so that's automatic. I am getting some yoga balls with the feet, because before I did yoga balls and they just rolled everywhere. It was a headache. I could not do it. And so this year I was like, okay, let me try it again, because it's been about 3 years since I tried it before. Let me try it again, but this time with the little feet. So again, I like to do this, and if you notice, nobody picked up on this, but where you see the little green bulbs, those are plants. My classroom theme is believe. I want them to get to understand the power of the mind. Like, if you believe you can do something, more than likely you're gonna do it, because with that belief there's like this rooted determination, like I'm gonna make this happen. And I want to really dig that into them. Like, please believe that you can read, that you can comprehend, that you can build your fluency, that you can start to build relationships with others. Please believe that you're special, that you're unique. So all of that goes into that one word that will be posted in my classroom. And then I also wanted to put life inside of my classroom. I was like, well, how can I do that? And so I thought it would be really cool to do live plants. So some plants will be alive and some plants will not. So for example, over here on this dining table, which I'll be using for guided reading, that plant may or may not be real. I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out. But I just want to put life inside of my classroom. I think that'd be cool for them to like help keep up that life. And also kind of, I always tell kids every year that if you're not growing, you're dying. And I think plants are like a living, clear example of that. If we don't water it, if we don't feed it, if we don't give it the things it needs, it's just gonna diminish. Same thing goes with your brain. Like, if you're not using it and exercising it, then that's what happens. You process slower and you think slower. You're not quick on your feet, and you don't have those answers, you know, that spark up in your head. So I really just like teaching them in all ways. Something that I also considered, like you just heard me talk about, is guided reading. I am the ELA teacher. Of course, I'm going to need somewhere to do guided reading in small group or lead a small group. And so that will be this table. So I'm not just drawing anything fancy. I'm just not just drawing anything cute. I'm really strategically thinking about how I want to use the space. I don't like to do guided reading or my teacher area in front of the door. So I don't like people to like look in my room and see me doing small group. I know that might sound crazy, but I think it's distracting. So I like to always put it out of eyesight, so that way when they walk in, it takes them a minute to see me, so they don't interrupt me as quickly. And as you see, again, I have some places where, like over here, 6 children will be sitting. Right here, 5. Right here, 4. Right here, only 2. And then right here, 1. And then also students can work over in this area as well. So I really wanted to provide option. Not necessarily just option with where you're sitting or what you're sitting on, but how well do you work? And going back to the whole Starbucks thing, you know, when you go into a Starbucks, you see many different types of setups. And so I wanted to give them that same setup. And by doing so, it does give me that space that you guys see. Now, that was the portion on that board. Something else that I put on Instagram was this. I literally plan out my bulletin boards. I like to do so because in advance I can make my letters, buy my letters, do whatever I need to do. I know what I need. So when I go in and I only have those few minutes before a faculty meeting or a PD, I am stapling those letters up. I am putting up that wallpaper because I can't waste time. Like, you know, you go back to school, then next thing you know, you got open house and people are coming in and moving things and touching things. And so I just like to be ahead of the game. So I have my board right here. This is where I'll be showing student work, or it's called the motivation board. I have another board where I'm going to have my standards, essential question, my ICANN, the agenda for that class session, and reminders. I always love to post that for people to see, and it's really good for when admins do walkthrough. I have a whiteboard that I can't decide if I'm going to use or not. I didn't have a whiteboard last year, so I had to use a lot of anchor charts, and I actually liked it. I like creating the anchor charts with the students and then posting them up. So I don't know if I want to go back to doing a whiteboard where you literally, you know, clean it off and then you make the anchor chart based on what you had on the board. I think that's, I don't want to say redundant, but it goes backwards, and I don't have that type of time. So I'm thinking about covering the whiteboard with fabric or contact paper, and just making it a board where I can create anchor charts and exhibit anchor charts that will help students with strategies and information. And then the last one is really close to where I will be housing my stuff, like my binders and folders. So on one side I have school documents, because we know they always give you a school calendar, a school newsletter. They may give you things that they want kids to see that they really don't see or read. So I'm gonna put that there along with my student newsletter that I do monthly, and then class information. So the other half will be for the students. No, come back. The other half will be for students. It is where I will post the URLs for our class websites that we're going to be using, passwords, newsletters, things of that nature. So everything that the student needs to be on this side, everything that I need or the school needs to be on this side. So I planned that out already. All right, so I want to address another question that somebody had, and I'm gonna pull it up on my phone because I don't want to misquote or not say it correctly. The first question that I got was from Miss Turner Teach, where she asked if I created my reading at a glance on Word, and I did. The second question that I got from Magic in Third, she said, I am shocked. This is jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring. Can we see a video on your subject planning and maybe a sneak peek at other subjects you plan for? So honestly, that video would be really long, but I will be giving some tips that I think will help you with subject planning. So number one, always print out your always print out your state standards. If you can print out your district units and look at what standards are addressed in each unit, that's also awesome, because then you can form your calendar. And that's what I did to do my reading at a glance. I printed out my state standards and my district unit plans, and by doing so I was able to see, okay, in September they want me to teach this, in December they want me to teach this, by the end of the year they want them to be on this. And so I just kind of prioritized it that way, but then I had the liberty of putting certain things early and late depending on what I know would be just go better with the time frame. Like yeah, reading is interesting. So I made sure that, you know, certain things are just in a certain place, and then I also put some things in a few times because I know students don't get it off the bat. So for example, inferring can be really difficult. I have taught 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and even my 6th graders for some reason had a really hard time with inferring, and I think it's because, you know, when you infer, you look at details from the text, but you also use your personal experience. So if a child has very limited experiences in the world or with certain things, it's really hard for them to infer what is going on from the text. So I know inferring is something that we're going to do 2 or 3 times, and according to my district, they want us to do it 1 time. Theme is also really hard for kids to grasp for some reason, and so that's something that we're really tackling 2 or 3 times throughout the year, because I know that they're going to have a hard time with it. So I do want it to be known that just because I'm setting out this pretty old pacing guide and I have every week labeled, yes, I'm going by that to help me with my mini lesson focus, but please know that during guided reading, small groups, and conferences, like I'm meeting the needs of students of where they are. If they're not ready, they're not ready. When they're ready, I'll make sure that they get it. So please know I am not like a stickler for my plan and my plan must happen. It's not the type of rodeo. I just like to have that pacing guide and see what the state and the district expects of them, because at the end of the day, I am responsible for introducing them to that information. So yes, little Johnny may be on 1st grade and I'm helping them with letter recognition and sound recognition and comprehension, but doggone it, they're going to hear something about inferring. Okay, so like I said, I have my standards, I have my unit printouts from my district. If you are a new teacher or beginning teacher, always ask your principal or your instructional coach or your grade level to give you the first unit. Okay, if you, after you say, hi, my name is, what's yours? Say, hey, can I get your number or your email address, and do you think you could send me the first unit for the beginning of the year? Why? Because during June and July, or whatever your 2 months are, or your 8 weeks are, you're going to be looking at that unit and get familiar with the information and finding your resources. Do not wait until day 1 to ask somebody, what am I expected to teach you next week? Don't do it. You will be highly upset with yourself, stressing out. So again, first year teachers, ask somebody to send you that unit 1 for all your subjects. Okay? Something that I did for reading specifically, and it goes for any grade level in my book. Okay, the cafe book, the daily 5 book, words their way. Okay, if you're teaching reading literacy, I have found these to be really awesome. I don't know why it took me 4.5 years to get my hands on them and to study them, but yeah. So that's what I used. Planning, that's honestly what I used this summer to help me plan. So I don't want to make it more difficult than what it is. Is it time consuming? Yes. Is it difficult? No. If you are a new teacher, I would suggest possibly connecting with somebody that has taught that grade level or that area before, because you may not know what would be good for story, what would be a good connection for story elements, or you may not think to teach certain standards with certain other standards, or you may not know, you know, what's gonna take the most time and you should teach that from day 1. So find a mentor, and just ask, whether that be a grade chair or somebody in your building, somebody on Instagram, somebody on YouTube. And I'm not just saying that for myself, but like I have met some pretty nice, you know, YouTubers and Instagrammers. I've met some rude ones, but for the most part, like, we love talking to one another, helping one another. TPT is going to be your best friend. They actually have it now where you can type in the standard and get things for free and for a pretty penny. So depending on your budget, you know, look on there. So that is how I plan subject by subject. Another comment was, how big is your room? I was drawing out my room last night and staring at pics from my setup last year while trying to anticipate any curveballs about what furniture I can and cannot have. So the reason I wanted to say that, and that was from Mumtaz Habite. Sorry if I like ruined your name. I am so sorry. So with the whole what can I have, what can I not have, this is the rule that I go by, and I'm sorry if this doesn't work for everybody. Do it and ask for forgiveness later. Okay, now this can bite you in the butt, but sometimes people have to see what you want to do before they can say yes or no. Okay, also I am somebody that do a lot of things that are research based, so when I set it up and I have it and I'm doing it, if somebody comes in and they try to challenge why this is effective or productive, I can pull from my articles and say, well, did you read this article by so-and-so, or did you see this data by so-and-so that said that this actually works? And people tend to be quiet because they haven't read it and they don't know why you're doing it. They're just telling you not to do it because either they're not comfortable with it or they never heard of it or it looks weird. Some of these things look weird, so people just tend to like push it away. So yeah, I like to have my articles and my references on hand of why I do certain things, and then also know you know, if it's hazardous or not. So for example, last year I put lights on my ceiling. I plan to put those same lights on my ceiling this year. People were like, oh my God, you can start fires. Oh, the fire marshal will shut you down, or your principal's gonna make you take it down, because that's what has happened to them. And I'm not saying that is true or false. What I am saying is I specifically bought that type because the thing is, those weren't regular Christmas lights. They were LED lights. So what that means is that they don't get hot. They could burn forever, but they don't, the outer wrapping of it never gets hot. You could touch it, it's cool as a cucumber. And so I think people were getting it mixed up. So when my assistant principal questioned me about it, I was like, hey, I know this may be, you know, a little weird. I apologize for that. I think it'd be good for my environment. The lights are safe. They are LED lights, not Christmas lights. They do not get warm to the touch. They are not known to start fires. And so she did some research, or she told me she did some research, and I kept them up all year, and my class loved them, I loved them, parents loved them, and it worked out fine. I never had a spark, a fire, or anything. They were remote controllable, or you could like plug them in. I chose to plug them in. So every day I would come in and plug those bad boys in. So just, you know, do it, and then if somebody doesn't like it, be prepared to take it down. Be prepared to put it in another area, give it away or resell it. You know, I'm not saying that I get away with everything I want to do. What I am saying is I show people what I want to do, and then once you see it and you think it's not going to work, I'm willing to pack it up. The same thing goes for flexible seating. I don't want this video to be too long, but I do want to like share my experience. So the same thing with flexible seating. When I first did it, the principal that I had at that time had never heard of it, did not like the idea of it, and she expressed that I don't like the idea of this. I don't think it'll work with this population of kids. They're not gonna like it. They're gonna tear it up. We cannot pay for your things that'll get broken. I mean, she gave me a spiel. So what I did at the very end of that, you know, I collected my little cute articles and I said, how about this? Give me 1 month to try this flexible seating. If it does not work, if my classroom management is awful, if my materials are broken, if parents are complaining, if students are getting hurt, I will pack this thing up and we'll never try it again. We'll roll those desks back in and we'll turn it right back into a traditional classroom. And she went for it. She said, okay, you got 4 weeks. If it don't work, pack it up. And so it worked out. It worked out. And like people were shocked. Like, how did you do that? So again, try it, you know, and if it don't work, be ready to pack it up. All right, guys, so I really hope that you enjoyed this video of just how I plan, why I plan, what are the things I keep in mind. Like I told you, I keep in mind important things. Everything I have in my classroom is there for a purpose. If it does not have a purpose, I kick it out. This year I do have desks already in my classroom. I'm not gonna use them. I'm only using 9. So I'm either gonna stack them inside of those closets that you see in my diorama, or I'm gonna ask to put them in my storage unit and just be responsible for any damages or losses. I think that works because, I mean, why should they take up space in the building and nobody's gonna use them? So I'm really hoping that they say, oh yeah, just take those back to your storage unit and do you. We'll see. They probably won't let me do that, but hey, you know, I'll stack them in my closet. They're pretty deep. But if you have any questions, leave them below. If I did not mention something that you really wanted me to talk about, please let me know. I will talk to you guys soon. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Deuces. Tick on.